Let's get start demo first. So this is same series of authentication authorization with Blazor web assembly with the .NET Core web API, right? So let me log in first. So I'll show you. Once I log in, then all that, whatever login users roles, they are able to see their tabs as well, and they can access as well. So let me log in with the admin user, like they have a admin access, and let me pass that password. Once I log in, see, you are able to log in, as well as if you see it's logged by this user, and also there's a logout button. But yeah, in later session we'll implement that. As of now, we'll implement only just authentication and authorization. And once you log in, you are able to see many authentications uh, tabs also available with the admin user tabs. Once I click add, so you are able to see it is only access that admin user. So for example, I'll just, if I log out and log in with normal user, for example, I have another user with the normal user, like new user, right? And here what I will do, simply I just register login with this normal user. So once you log in, so if you observe, see here that admin access tab is not visible because this role is not defined, or this role is not actually contain that a role, admin role. That's why it's not visible for them user. And also, if you forcefully try to that page, suppose for example this is that admin access page, right? So if I forcefully access that page, so definitely you will get that not authorized access, right? So that is actually perfectly fine for this authentication and authorization with web assembly with the along with .NET Core web API, right? That will implement in this session. And before proceeding this session, I'm especially recommend one thing. If you visit first time my channel, so go to my channel, and this is actually we have to create it for the .NET Core web API. That all that endpoints which will provide over here, and then role authentication also we have to use that web API, right? And after that we have implement our Blazor web assembly, which will consume this .NET Core web API. So these three session you have to watch first or visit first, and also I just create a playlist for that, so you can go to that authentication and authorization playlist for that. And let's move on then implementation. So let's open the Visual Studio, right? This is a same series, same sample, right, which already we have just pushed in our GitHub link, so you can get it from there, which we already share the link description and all in our video description, so you can take it from there. So what we have, simply we have in this application, we have a Blazor web assembly application, and we have a .NET Core web API. So in this session we don't need to do anything in our .NET Core web application, but yeah, we have to implement over here. So what need to do first actually go to that services which I already created in last session. So please proceed this session. I'm especially recommend go to the my previous session which we have covered in how to register that new user. So once you are go through that, you definitely understand, okay, what is the files and what is the service we have to create it on that. So what I need to do, simply go to that account manager over here. So previously we have to create that registered user, right? So now what I need to do, create over here, I have to create a login user, right? So how we can login implementation we have to done, that we have to do over here. So let me add at a declaration method over here. So inside this account manager, like I just create a login declaration, right? And here just simply return that form result, right? And it's expected that email and password. So based on the email and password, we'll try to log in and make it the state like, okay, this user has login for this application, right? So once is declaration done, go back to your solution explorer and go to your custom authentication state provider which we have created in last session. So here see, they complaining, okay, you are just created new signature. So what you need to do, simply you have to implement. So go to click that one, and it will just create it a default implementation. So yeah, this is that previous one register, yeah, this one. So we have to just we have to call over here about that endpoint, login endpoint, which we have in our API, right? So if you see, this is our API, right? So we have to call this login endpoint, and this they are actually we used cookies based authentication, right? But yeah, in upcoming session we'll use that token based authentication as well. But yeah, first I will show you like how we can maintain the cookies based authentication in our Blazor web application, right? So here this endpoint we have to call. So what I need to do, we already have injected that HTTP client. So using that HTTP client, actually we have to call that endpoint. So first of all, let me remove this guy, right? And here what I need to simply I just to create a try catch, because if any exception while calling over there, so we can handle as well. So let me store as a exception, right? And what I need to do, I have to just call, I have to just create this guy like HTTP client, which already I injected in our constructor in this custom state provider, and it is just calling that post as a JSON method, and I am just passing that login user cookies as a true. How we can get this login? If you see your API here, once I just try out, click the true, once I execute, so let's you able to see this is our URI, right? So this URI you have to call. Let me zoom in for you so that you can make it clearly see. So now see, this actually you have to pass with this this URI along with this information, right? That's why we have to just create it over here, like over here. But yeah, it is just complaining because we using asynchronous method, right? So that's why you have to decorate with the async over here. So what I need to do, simply I call that this one, pass it to this, and whatever that information we have to pass like as a parameter, so I'm just passing. So whatever I need to pass, email and password, so let me pass it that and get it stored in our result over here. So once it's stored the result over here, what I need to do, I have to simply check if, right, if that result is succeed or not, right? So let me check that guy. So there is a one property, actually this is a return, it is a HTTP response, right? So in the HTTP response we have that parameter, or this is that property which actually valid, okay, it is succeed or not. So if it is succeed, then what I need to do, I have to update our state provider, authentication state provider, so which where I can get it that actually, if you observe, we have used that authentication state provider, right? So this actually give us to that method, so that once I log in successfully, I have to call that state provider method. So what is that method name? The method name would be your this, right? So notify authentication manager change, right? And here what I need to do, I have to just call a one method which is as overload method, which we have just we have to implement over here. So by default it just implement over here in last session just a anonymous user. But what I need to do, once I log in, so if we log in, so definitely we have that that user cookies information in our browser, right? So based on this, what I need to do, I have to call some other API. Actually, for example, if you see here, so I have to call this endpoint manage info, so that in this it is also actually authenticated, right? So if you pass that authentication information, then you will get that user information, like okay, what is that email ID and all. Based on this, after that I have to call some role information also, right? What is that current user has a role and all. And then we have to create some principal, principal, we have to create a principal object, right? So claim identity principal we have to create it, and then we have to set it over there, right? So if you see over here, see, we finally use this identity like claim principal. So we have to get that all the information from the API, and then we have to create a claim principal, and we have to assign to that authentication state. So that is actually mechanism to validate your authentication and authorization in your Blazor application, right? So what I need to do, simply now let me call this guy as of now, right? And we have to implement actually. As of now, just simply we just use that, but yeah, we have to implement more on that. So let me call this, and this is done, right? So few implementation actually need to do on over here. So once I just complete over here, then we'll move it to that. So this is done. Now finally what I need to do, simply the return type would be, if it is success, so pass it the success user, so true. That is done. And in the exception, right, so whatever exception you want to store, so you can just keep it over here. And then finally it's a return type if it is, suppose it is not success, right, so there is a some issue and all. So what I will do, simply I have to just, return type as a, it is failed, and something as a invalid user and all, right. So this is simple implementation of login method, right. Now go back to this authentication state provider method, which actually incomplete over here, which we need to complete. So what I need to do over here, here actually you have to just understand, actually this is a big and big concept, and also it is a main things actually to log in properly in your application. So what I need to do, simply go back to here, and again I've just set over here the try catch, right. In this try catch, I have to call first one http method over here, http client dot get a sync, okay. And here what I need to pass, I have to call that I already described, right. So this endpoint I have to call, uh where is that, this endpoint. So what is that endpoint URL, just execute, so you will get, this is that URL, right. So copy this and pass it over here. So once I pass it over here, it will return some information, right. So let me store as a information over here, like user response, and also it is a async method. So what I need to do, set as a await, right. Now I am getting that informations of that, right. And also I have to check over here, like this is a succeed or not, right. So let me check that one also, check that ensure succeed or not. So if it is succeed, then it's good to go to further uh, step, right. So what I need to do next, we got some result, right. So that we have to actually deserialize and store in a somewhere, and then again we have to set in our claim, right. So that actually do some mechanism. So what I need to do, in case, first let me store on a user JSON, right, because it's a JSON object. So await user response, see, this is that auto populated over here, user response contain the read async. So whatever response we have getting over here, we can get it from the content, and we can use this method read string to async. So they will returning that complete response from that request, right. And once you get, what I need to do, simply I have to deserialize that object. So let me create this as a variable, right. And here I just using a JSON serialization deserialize, right, and passing that object, and whatever object actually there is as a string we are getting from here, JSON string, we have to deserialize to this object. So as of now we don't have this object. Let me create quickly this object, and this is similar to email and all other information, right. So let me create inside this view model, right. Go to there, create a class, and here let me create that user info, and let me create a property which will actually return from that object, right. So as of now they will just simply return this guy and this guy, but yeah, I just additionally add this guy, right. But yeah, you actually in the real project implementation, definitely it can be return your user info with this email id and user id and others also information with their claims. So that's why actually I am just creating this guy, but yeah, as of now we don't require these things, right. So go back to here, and one more thing, actually we have to create that JSON serialize option things, right. So let me just quickly create that guy, right. So let me create a private field for this. So go to top and create another private field for that JSON serialization options. So let I just create for that whatever camel case, actually they can just ignore that, right? So that policy we have to just add it and use this JSON serialization option to for the deserialization perspective. So this is a concept of deserialization. So that is fine. Once is done, what I need to do next, so now we got that information, right? User information. So let me check this, right? And tab and add this, close that, right? So now if it is not null, then we have to do something. So I have to just create, claim. First I need to claim, store as a claim whatever information we get, right? So let me create a claim over here like that. Claim, new list of the claim, and inside this list of the claim, what I can do, simply add that user information inside this claim. So first I just insert, create for that name claims, and as well as just email also, right? So whatever claims you want to create, you can just create it over here. So that is one, right? And just close that, right? Well, we have just created claims for that user information related things, right? And now we have to add, there is a one, this user information, like see, we have the dictionary object, right? So could be happen like this in this API can return, multiple claims over here, so that also we can add it over here. That mechanism I'll show you, but yeah, in this session actually we are not using this by, but yeah, for your use this perspective, actually I have just created for you so that you can use it that. So what I'm going to do, additionally whatever additionally claim we have, we can just add it over here like this as a address method inside this claim we have, right? And first up, just we have to skip that two things, like okay, whatever name and email, because we already added over here. So that's why if again we have getting the information of that claim like name or email on that uh, claim list, user information claim list is a dictionary, so that actually we have to skip first, and then whatever new things over there, that we simply just edit with using that key and value. That's it, right? So this is the way actually you can do. And then once is done, what I need to do actually, now we have to call our role endpoint, which is that, if you go back to again our endpoints API, so which I just created for here, see this roles, right? So whatever that user is logged in, right? So whatever that current roles, so that we have to get it from this uh this user role. Where is that user? This is add user role, right? So get user role, so this one. So pass on that email ID of that particular user, it will return that whatever roles they have, right? So let me just show you, like if you execute, so we have to just pass this API using as a query parameter, right? Pass that email ID, so it will return list of the roles of that particular user. So this API we have to call. So now go back to your code. Here again I have to call this http get method to get that user information. So let me call that, right? So if you see over here, so again I just call the http client get async method. Simply I pass our API, which is this, right? This is C API role get user, and then query parameter and uh, their email ID and whatever information, right? So that we have to pass over here. We have the information of the user email, right? So we have just passed over here, and we can get the information as a http response. So once I get that in response, again we have to check, right? So see this is we have to check, okay, ensure that the status code is 200, right? So once I get the 200, then we have to again just get that response, right, from that string, JSON string. So like that actually we have to just get it the response contain read as a string, and again we have to deserialize that roles, right? So let me deserialize again, same things what we have done for deserialize here, right? Whatever response we get from this response, this request, so same things we have to do over here. So now again simply I just create a roles variable, deserialize, and this time we just deserialize with this string array, and this is our response, and just create that pass it that JSON serialize options. So now here, right? Here we can just check again if it is not null, and uh, also we can check like if it is length, right? So we have as a length, looks for example, and roles dot length is greater than 0, then actually we have to proceed our logic, right? So also just make it not available. Okay, so that is fine. So once it's done, what I need to do now, we have the roles. Okay, and again we have to iterate this role using that for each loop. Let me create a for each loop over here, and we have that roles. So let me name it a roles, and here what I need to do, I have to just whatever claims we have in previously, right? So this is that claims, we just add all the other information, same things, I just use this claims, and we have to add all the roles inside this claim. So dot add, use that new claim types dot roles, right? It is a role types, we role actually role claim we have to add, and whatever the values, right? So this is a value, and that's it, right? So like this way actually you can add whatever roles is a particular user, like suppose user has a 5 roles, right? So admin, HR, on other roles, so they can add inside this claims. So now our claim has ready, right? All the claims like they have user information, they have roles information, everything is done. So once you're done, what you need to do, so inside this user information, right, inside that user information tag, here I just create an ID, like user ID or user information. You can just whatever things you can call it. New claim claim identity. We have to create a claim identity over here. So pass it that claims, whatever we claims we have, right? We already created, and here so the next type is, see, there's a overload method here, actually they expecting the type, right? So whatever type actually we are using this claim identity, right? So as of now I told you, like, we are trying to use cookies based authentication. So what I need to do, I can set as a cookies, right? cookies Cookies authentication and authentication, right? So that you can make it. But yeah, also if you want to use this same class as a string, so we can use it that guy, but yeah, that is best, right? So let me add this guy, for example, name of name of whatever authentication we are trying to use, we can just pass it over here. So you can just make it this custom authentication provider, so you can make it over here, or just you can make it a cookies authentication, so you can just pass it as a string type, right? So you can pass it like that. Actually we have just create a claim identity, and what I need to do next, simply I already just create a user principal, right? See, this user principal already we have to create it over here, right? So this is that claim principal we have to create it in this private field, right? So that actually we have to store our things. So go back to here, uh, go to here, like same user, we have to assign new claim principal, new claim principal, and pass it to our ID. That's it. Now it's done, right? Okay, by mistakenly we add one more equal assignations. This is not a, we are not comparing actually, right? So we just assigning the value. So what you need to do, simply you just create the claim principal and just passing your claim identity, right? And now it is, we have that this claims actually, we have that sufficient information, that particular user, right? So that actually the valid user, right? Like this actually we have to create the claim principal while getting that a response from that API and all. And then what I need to do, I have to just set authentication uh, is a true, right? Because it is authenticated. So this is done, right? So this is the way actually you have to implement your get authentication state, so that once I logged in, now see, go back to your login again method. So here once you to get that response, it is login successful. So we trying to set that our authentication state, right? So this method actually will do making that state, whatever the current state of a user, if it is authenticated or not. So they will actually forcefully tell, okay, now it is states correctly, like for that login user have this information and all. So based on this actually we can use in our components, right? So let's me go to now uh, creating our components, right? So once it's done, go back and go to your components. Previously we just created registered, so now I have to create that login component. So create a login component over here, name it login, right? Create a login component. So here I have to just create, yeah, a login implementation should be over here, right? So simply first of all I just add it, decorate this page as a @ page using that \login, right? And once it's done, now I have to call that service. Actually this service actually required, right? See, I account manager service is required because that method we have login method. So that login method we have to call from this component. So what I need to do, simply @inject. So there's a way actually we can inject our services over here. What is my service name? Let me call quickly over here, copy that, go back here and pass it to over here and call it to act, right? And actually it is a reference missing over here, so what I need to do, simply add that reference. It is coming from this namespace, so we have to add it over here. So in here what I need to do, I have to just create, one form actually, which can we already see in our here, right? So if you log out, log in, so this form actually we have to build, right? We are actually accept that email and password. So let me create a form. I'm not going to create a one by one line for design because it is a design thing. So what I will show, simply I just copy and paste over here. So see what I am trying to do over here, I just decorate an authorized view because it is a, you know it is a decorate this component as a, if it is authorized, so you will get this, you can just show your whatever login user. So that's why we have to decorate this authorized view. And if it is not authorized, then what I'm trying to do, simply I just using one condition, if it is any error, so I will show that error, right? And this is actually design part. So we have a input field as a, enter your email address, we have that another input field, we have the password, and this is a one click event, right? Which we can, we as of now we don't have this method over here, but we implement. So let me implement that. So before that, first let me create some property which we just use over here, right? So we use that errors property or error field, we have used the email password, right, which is bind in our uh, HTML. And then finally we have to create our login method. So let me create that login method and I'll explain how is actually working this. So see, we just create a simple login, do login async method over here. First of all, I just just set as a false, right? There's two things actually, success and error is a false, and then also empty array. And here just simple a validation mechanism over here. If it is this property is empty, then it is returning a validation message. This property is empty, the validation message. And then here actually see, here I injected this account management service, right? So this service, what we are trying to do, simply call our login method, which just we have implement in this session, and pass it that email and all. Once they get, so definitely it will give that result, right? It is success or fail. If it is success, so definitely we have to set password and false, and then success flag as true. If it is false, then we have to set that error and all, right? So like this, it is a very simple component, right? So once it's done, we are good to go to run our application. But before that, what I need to do, I have to actually this login component which we have to add newly, right? So that I need to add in our main layout. So go to your layout, it is a main layout. Here we just call, see, if you see on the top, there's a login and register, right? So previously we have to add the register, but yeah, that login component just we have to create it, so we have to add this button over here. So let me add this button similar to that. So this is that login button, right? Simple, the ref href and login. and this is simply I pass it the login. That's it, right? So this is login done. And one more thing actually we have to show, we actually maintain over here. If you go to nav menu, right, so see, so what I need to do in the navigation section, see, as of now that navigation there is a no decoration. Okay, so everybody can, if it is login user, it is not login user, everybody can see those tabs, right? So we have to decorate such kind of things, so only login user can see that tabs. Along also those user has this particular roles that also they can able to see that tab. So that actually we have to decorate. So let me decorate first that one, then we have to try to our testing, right? So first of all, what I need to do over here, so let me add this authorized view. Actually the authorized component we have to use inside that. So only this home component, right? So after that home component, what I need to do, simply add this authorized view, and after complete over here, just close that authorized view, right? So inside this authorized view, only authorized people can get that access, right? So let me add another component, authorized component, decorate over here, and just set it to over here, this, right? So now these two component, for example counter and whether, only authentication user can get access, otherwise no user can get access, right? So that is done. So before run, just make sure your both project actually is a multiple running mechanism over there, right? For example, as of now, see, if I run, so only this project will run, right? Multiple project we have to run, because it is a tightly dependent on that API for our application, right? So what I need to do, simply right click on the solution, and go to that configuration project setup. Here you have to set multiple project startup, right? So here just add start, start, apply, okay. And then now we have a set of multiple project setup. Now run. It's fail. So see, one thing actually I just miss over here, see that it is saying I just create a one component. Actually that component should not start actually lowercase, right? So it should be a Pascal case. Whatever component we have to create it should be a Pascal case. So that actually I did wrongly over here. So what I need to do, simply just change to Pascal case, and then we are good to go. So backend is running, front is also is running. Now see, we are getting one error. So let me check what is that error. If you inspect, if you go back to console, now see, it is not an error, but yeah, it is saying like whatever you are trying to request, right? It is authentication, right? Unauthorized. That is perfectly fine. But actually one thing I missed that in our implementation. So go back to our project. If you go back to project solution over here, if you go to that authentication service provider here, uh, if you see that get authentication state provider method, if you go down, now see, this is one thing actually I just by missing that one. We don't throw any exception if it is not authenticated, okay. So it should not be throw any exception. So that's why what I need to do, simply just pass it over here, ex, right, and stop that and start running. Now this time see, there is a no error. If you want to inspect, you can see over here, uh yeah, there is a no error. Over here is a console. What I need to do, I just simply registered, not registered, I just log in, right? So once I log in this user, if I click login, now see, this login is done, but there's a one more error. Like see this, if you see this, once login success, we are getting the success, but yeah, this one is failing because we are calling another API which we are returning, but it is saying simply unauthorized, right? Let me zoom in for you. So this is unauthorized. It is expected because what actually we have to do, see, whatever cookies we are getting, right, after login, whatever cookies we are getting, we have to store in our cookies, right? So if you go back in application, you have to store in this cookies, in this cookies section with some values, right? So that part also we have missed, so that also we have to add. Actually that's why I haven't implement, because I want to show you what is the problem we trying to do implement, you know, such kind of things, you know, step by step. So what could be a problem we can get it, so that's why I have not implemented. So what I need to do, go back to your applications, and in this case if you go to the program.cs file, now see we are actually our calling our API. See, this is HTTP client, okay, and this is our API backend API. Yeah, we are actually calling. So once I call, so whatever, you know, response and all, we have to set one header, actually that cookies header. So how we can do that, that is call actually you know, custom HTTP header mechanism. So that I have to do that. So what I can do, simply go to the service here, just create a, you know, custom HTTP handler. So create a custom HTTP handler, and here what I need to do, simply I have to inject inherit like this delegate handler, and here we have to one overload method actually, that is need to call like overload, and we have to call this send async method, this guy. And here simply whatever the request and all, they will actually call in our base, they have to add our base. So before that we have to add our custom header, right? So let me add that cookies headers over here. So this is one request that set browser credentials, right? Use that enums. And then second, this headers actually we have to add it over here for cookies. So HTTP requested with this HTTP request array, right? So this header we have to set. Once you set this custom header, we have to call in our program.cs file. Here whatever HTTP client, here actually we have to call that guy. So what, how we can call it, use that, you know, add HTTP message handler, and here simply you just pass it to that guy, and that's it. Let me bring back this one. So now this configuration also you have to taken care once you create your custom handler, right? So how they would know, right? So every call they have to know, okay, this is a custom handler, we have to call before and right before using this whatever, you know, dependent, this is a dependent our HTTP client, right? Whatever actually we have implement, we have to create here, so that also we have to register. So we have to register if you trying to use dependent this one, so you have to register. So let me register first. Builder dot services dot add, or sorry, add transient, and here just simply pass your custom handler name like this, copy paste, and that's it, right? So now run. Now front end back end is running, front end also running without any error. Let me click F12, it is perfectly fine. Click the network tab, click the login, pass it the user, pass it that password, and click login. Once you log in, now see this time 200 200 200, and also you are able to see this guy, and also I'll show you the cookies. See, you are able to see also the cookies, whatever cookies just created, right? They just store in our browser, right, in the cookies section. And if you go to the network tab, login success, information also success, get role also success. Now you will see, you are able to see the response, the this user has a two roles, right, which they provided, and also information they provided this one. So like that, see, login is done. Once you login done, you are able to see is two tab as well, right? Because this is authentication user, that's why you are getting to this, right? One thing you observe, like see, if it is logged in, so you are able to see, that is fine, but still you are able to see the login user login tab, right? So this is not right actually. So see, if you logged in user, so once you click, see, it is saying it is logged in user, but it should be changed, right? So that we have to change. And also one more thing actually we have to add over here. Okay, let me fix this first, then we have to add the rules as well. Like now if I log in with the admin user, so admin roles only can access this tab. Or if I user this if I logged in with non roles user, so they are not able to see this tabs, right? So after authentication they have to logged in, but yeah, only based on that now tabs which authenticate or not, based on the role based authentication, that will also will mechanism, right? So let me fix first this one. So if you go back your application and go to your main layout, now see, this time I just simply this is a layout page, right? So I have not actually decorate anything over here. So what I need to do, simply I have to decorate these things, right? In these things only, just if it is not, this login and register only will appearing once if it is not logged in user, right? If it is logged in user, so what I need to do, so authorize view component, and inside that we have to check, okay, authorized. If it is authorized, right, so then we have to specify, right, over here as a logged in user, right? So let me add this line. See, this is a logged in user, whatever current user, that is adding. And also we can add as a logout things. So as of now we are not implement this guy, but yeah, just for that showing purpose, like, okay, it is logged out after the login, it appearing the button only, the logout button, right? And if it is not authorized, right, so let me copy this and wrap it to end of this here, right? So that here, and after it is not authorized, right? So if it is not authorized, then these two things we have to show to the user. So this is one fix. Let me fix that and save it. So once I save it, if I go back without stopping the application, I think it should work. Now see, now it's perfectly working. Like whatever logged in user you're able to see over here. Also if you go to any tabs and all, it will not lose your logged in state, right? And if you refresh also, there is a no issue, right? If it is logged in user, you are able to see this information till you not remove your uh, cookies, right? So that we have to do, right? And now another things actually we have to do, that roles, right? Suppose this roles, for example, this kkp user has that multiple role like sr role and all, right? So let me go back to code, to that main layout and navigation menu, go to that navigation menu here. For example, this is this two tab is fine for the any user is logged in, they can able to see. But yeah, let me create a one more tab. For example here, right, here I have to just create a one more tab which only admin user can access on that tab, right? So let me create again that authorize view, right? Let me authorize view, and here let me create authorize, and inside this authorize we have to create this nav menu, right? Let me create a one nav at a time over here, and case create it to change it to name like admin user only, right? So admin user only can see this tab, and we can change it to the change admin user, right? So as of now we don't have this component, but don't worry, I'll just create this component as well. And what I need to do over here, see, in this authorized view, right, in this authorized view we have to set, right? So let me set the roles, okay? And here only admin role, okay? So only this admin role, okay, let me stop that because it's complaining. So only admin role can access on this admin user component only, right? So let me quickly create that component. For example, here inside this page, create a new component, Blazor component, call it to admin user, right? And add over here. And simply what I need to do in this component, we actually we have to handle as a navigation part, but we have to handle component part as well. Like suppose somebody is forcefully call this component, right? Then definitely they are able to see if it is logged in user. So that also we have to prevent. So first let me add the page route. So this is my page route, could be admin user, right? Or admin access or admin user, that is fine. So admin user, and what I need to do second, that at the rate, right? And at the rate attribute, and pass it to authorize. And authorize, let me bring that namespace. This is that namespace. Okay, it's still complaining. We are importing the namespace, but it's still complaining. So what I need to do, simply again, just we can write, yeah, that is done. And see, if this authorize attribute, we can specify the role as well. So let me add that role, and we can pass it to role, so that only admin user can access in this component, right? So this is one. And let's see this component and accessibility, right? So this is, we have to call the admin user. Also actually we have to mention this as a here in the navigation, right? See, this is done. And let me start. Now backend is running, front end also running, but see, still they getting that old login, right? Why? Because still we add in our cookies, right? So once till alive the cookies, it will appearing over here, right? So let's see, once you log in this user, you are able to see this guy, right? So let me, as of now we don't have logout functionality, so we can't remove that one. Actually we can't log out, but yeah, we can forcefully log out over here. But don't worry, upcoming session will we do that. So go to application, remove that cookies or delete over here. And once you delete, definitely if you refresh, so that should be log out, right? So see, it is log out now, though not access and all, right? So what I need to do, simply uh, simply log in as a normal user, like new user. And is this new user, I don't think we have any uh we have any user role and all. So let me check also. Click the network tab and just pass it to that password, logged in. So okay, so this user does not exist, so that is fine. Let me check another user for the demo user, logged in. Okay, now see, demo user, once I logged in, so they are successfully actually logged in info, but yeah, here actually they miss, right? So see, there's a no access for this role, because whatever user, this demo user, so demo user I have that not a particular that user role, I guess, because this get roles required some admin user and that user. So let me quickly see what are the roles over here. If you go to my controller and go to the role controller, and here get roles, right? Get user roles. Now see, it should be admin and user, right? So what I need to do in this case, simply uh, this uh, this get user role, you can just simply authenticate, only authenticate user can get their information, right? So we can just simply remove your roles condition over here. Only authentication user can get that their roles, so that is fine, I guess, right? So let me stop and run this application. So this is one modification you have to do in your application in our web API. But yeah, uh, one more thing, actually you can do that, like see, whatever user role you have, like, so for example you have 5 roles, right? So that 5 role also you can just mention, so definitely you can get that access. But yeah, either you can mention all the roles, you can just remove that roles, that is fine, right? So now see, still the demo user is logged in, because demo user last time actually see. And also one more thing, actually see, demo user actually stored the cookies, so that's why it's login perfectly. And that admin user access is not there, right? So let me, if I forcefully call that admin user, and once I hit enter, clearly it will say you are not authorized, because this demo user don't have an access that admin facilities, right? So that's all for this session, right? And an upcoming session actually will implement the logout things. And also we are many things we have to implement. For example, we already registered and login, but yeah, we have to assign the role and all of the things we have to implement in this Blazor WebAssembly application, also with this .NET Core API. Yeah, till now it's good. And one more thing, we have to push actually our source code so that you can get it from our GitHub link, right? So let me push this. So let me stop first whatever the changes. See, this is all the new changes. So let me create a new repository for that. So this is the repository. You can get it from my GitHub link, which is this actually karthik.786, and create push. You can get this guy, right? So this is done, and that's all for this session. And thank you. Have a nice day, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.